Given that Frederick Douglass was an assimilationist and Marcus Garvey was a Pan-African nationalist, to me, the whole idea of naming a school after both men does seem like a contradiction, because ideologically they were polar opposites in that regard. And I think ideologically probably would have been better to name the school after Martin Delany and Marcus Garvey rather than Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey. But I know obviously Umar claims to be a descendant of Frederick Douglass, so that's probably why he's got Frederick Douglass in there. But ideologically, Frederick Douglass was an assimilationist. He was not a nationalist in any way. Frederick Douglass's mentality was that the solution to the race problem in America is that Black people and white people just need to mix and create one, interracial people. And then at that point, the racial problem will go away. Whereas Marcus Garvey held the opposite view. Garvey was strictly against interracial relationships. He had a race-first ideology. So that was one aspect of the difference. But the other aspect as well, part of what goes with assimilationist type ideology isn't just this idea of mixing and essentially disappearing, but there's an economic component as well. So Frederick Douglass did not believe in this idea that Black people in America represented an independent nation. Martin Delany, who's often known as the father of Black nationalism, is called the father of Black nationalism because he preached this idea that Black Americans are an independent nation within a nation. So Marcus Garvey comes out of that nationalist tradition, that tradition that Black people represent an independent nation, or the tradition that Black people need to build an independent nation. Frederick Douglass did not believe that at all. And in addition to being an assimilationist, Frederick Douglass didn't even consider himself African because he was biracial. So he had what Du Bois wrote about, what Du Bois called double consciousness. Because Frederick Douglass was biracial, he was someone who did fight the abolition for the abolition of slavery. He did fight against the oppression and against the racial oppression of Black people. So I don't want to completely dismiss Frederick Douglass's legacy. He was someone that did fight for the liberation of African people, but because of his assimilationist type ideology, he didn't fully embrace an African identity, and his view was the ultimate objective for Black people should be to assimilate into white America.